Yes, people, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean Butler. Bugsy Malone's down by my side here. She's sulking. She's already had a morning walk. She's looking at me at lunchtime saying, I want to go out again. And it's too early. I hope you're all happy and healthy doing the things that you love with those you love to do them with. Strap yourselves in. We've got a cheeky little hour of Tottenham transfer news, views, and clues. A whole bunch of notes for you to get through. And the concrete interest, the strongly considering, and the processing of ideas around players like Christopher Nkunku and Leroy Sané. I fancy a bacon Sane this morning. I didn't have one. I'm trying to be a little bit good. That's why I'm on the diet gin and tonic. How about that? Guys, smash the granny, please, out of the like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe if you're new around these here parts. Hit the notification bell and drop some comments. Let me know your thoughts on today's topics. I'll come and say hello to the chat in a little while. Make sure you take your shoes off. Make yourself a cup of tea. And let's talk about some bits and pieces, shall we? So that I get the boring stuff out of the way. Not boring, but the kind of lesser of interest stuff straight off the bat. Alfie Dorrington has said and spoken of his admiration for Tottenham Hotspur. He loves Tottenham Hotspur. He says he loves the club. He also very much loves Aberdeen, and he'd be very, very interested, very happy if the club was to come back in for him and extend his loan or do whatever. He's happy to do whatever, essentially. It's interesting, isn't it? Because we don't really know what level we've got there. He's done a really good job over up in Aberdeen. They won the trophy against Celtic last week. I'm sure a magical, memorable day for him and for his club, or his current club. But the centre-back issue is an issue that I think is going to rumble on, right? So I'd love to know your thoughts straight off the bat. Let the comment section fill up with this one. Where are we going with our youth-centric centre-backs? Stick for me in the priority, or the pecking order, rather, of a fully fit squad. And we got, obviously, Romero, Micky van der Ven, Danzo, Dragusin, Ben Davies, who I've got a story about in a second for you, Vuskovic, Phillips, Dorrington. There must be a couple of more. We've got about 10 of them, haven't we? But there's a lot of centre-backs there. And I just wonder whether or not, is Alfie Dorrington one of these players that we've spoken about many, many times on this channel around, the youth approach to football, guys. It doesn't have to be, or towards our youth academy, rather. It doesn't have to be seen as a success or failure based on the amount of stars that break through to the first team, right? It can simply be the amount of players, amount of players that end up making it in football and turn a profit for the youth development side of the game. And so I wonder whether Dorrington is one of those players. Now, we haven't really seen enough of him, have we? But for those of you that watch Scottish football, and I promise you I'm not one of them, no disrespect, then let me know if you think he's got the mustard, if he's got the stones to make it at Tottenham Hotspur. If not, would you engage in a deal with Aberdeen whereby, you sell him for a couple of million quid, but you stick on a 50% sell-on fee in case the guy does make it to the very top? And or a buyback price. Let me know. Let's go pop through the chat and say hello. Big up, Drew, and the chat. Remember to smash a like and subscribe. Yeah, smash the granny out a bit for me, guys. Get straight out of the back. There's 200 people here. If there's 200 people here, then we could be on 100 likes if everyone was just feeling a little bit generous with their thumb game. I know a lot of you watch this on the TV, so it's not always easy to do that. But for those of you that are watching it on your computer or your phone, it's very easy and really appreciate it. Mark says afternoon. Good afternoon, Mark. Good afternoon, Drew, by the way, mate. I haven't said hello to you probably for a while. How you doing, buddy? I hope you're okay, mate. I hope you're keeping out of trouble. It's early where you are, mate. Must be like 5 o'clock in the morning or something, isn't it? Over in Kansas. Kate. Hi, Kate. How you doing? Nice to see you. I love. Stanley Kush. We don't need Nkunku. Let's aim higher for what it will cost us in wages, etc. We're going to talk a little bit about Nkunku in a minute, because I think that one, first of all, Tottenham and Chelsea just don't ever do business. Second of all, Chelsea have got an incredibly gifted ability. Gifted ability doesn't make any sense. An incredible gift and ability to be able to buy players for too much money them turn out to be an absolute shit show at their club, and then somehow sell them for basically the same money that they bought them for. I mean, and then not just them, some of the players that come through their youth academy, they get top whack for, and they end up not being that great. Think about Mason Mount, the amount of money that Man United paid for him. Think about the geezer who went to them, the German guy, who then ended up at Arsenal. And Arsenal paid like, what was it, 70 million quid for him? And that geezer gets paid like £280,000 a week. I forget his name. What's his name? Why isn't my mind working yet? Because I haven't had a couple of drinks. Now they want £60 million back for Nkunku. We'll come to that story in a minute. Anyway, I just think it's ludicrous. But what I do think will end up happening, but I'll save it. Alex, do we believe these concrete rumours, or are they the usual top players we pursue to shut the fans up? Well, to be honest, the story about Christopher Nkunku is coming from Ben Jacobs, so it's certainly got a little bit more, I don't know, credibility than some of the shit that I push your direction. Sometimes if I'm scratching around for a story, no, you don't know where I go to find them. I go to the dark web at times to find a Tottenham link. Bayern made an approach. I'll show it on the screen in a minute. I'm going to come to those stories in a minute. I have smashed the granny out of the like button for you, Adam. Thank you, mate. I appreciate you. Afternoon, Darren. Good to see you, buddy. Nkunku, why? Hopefully, huge BS. Good day, Sean. Good day, Simo. Hope you're doing the things you love. I am doing this with you lot. Got the feeling Dorrington is more of a backs to the wall style centre back, but I haven't seen much of him. I've been smashing the granny out of your like button for 3 years. Appreciate that, Adam. Appreciate you, mate. We need to bring Phillips into the fold. Yeah, well, apparently he's like, what is he, 6'4", and he's fast, athletic. So maybe he's the guy that's the most ready. Again, let us know in the chat your stack rank, because we don't need 10 defenders, do we? We've also got some guy coming through. Is it Byfield? Johnny's always talking about this guy, Byfield, who's like 16. Apparently, he's another one that's absolute mustard. I don't know. Tony Rodriguez, big up short of the chat. And out. Good to see you, Tony. Afternoon, John. I've been smashing the ground. I've done that one already. Yo, Sean. Shout out from where? Where are you? Davies to Wrexham. Yeah, let's move on to that story, shall we? So he's one that's going to be going. Allegedly, that Tottenham have got until tomorrow, I think it is. Oh, no, sorry. It's the end of the month, isn't it? It's the end of June. His contract is officially up on the end of June. Considering there's no more football to play between now and the end of June, I don't really understand why what's the hold up there. We can just release him if you want to, let him go to Wrexham, and we'll see where we go. But yeah, I wish him well. I think that's a nice place for him to go back to Wales, finish off your career, leave as a legend, right? He's been a long time. Everyone talks about Sonny the legend, 10 years and of loyalty, and wins a trophy to see it off, and a nice way to sunset the career there. It's a lovely way for Ben Davies to go as well, and he'll always be remembered. Not for being a world-class player, but for being dependable Ben. Rarely lets you down. Always puts in a good shift. And has been a really good servant to the football club. But you could almost make it almost like, not that he needs one these days. I think these players are all paid too much money anyway. But you could almost give him a testimonial as well. Do we still do testimonials? I'm not sure if we do. Send Dorrington out on loan in the Championship, says Stanley Cush. Yeah, it'd be nice to be easier to keep an eye on him a little bit more. I mean, it's just laziness on my part that I don't watch Aberdeen, but it'd be nice if there was any like Ange fans that followed us down here from Celtic. I know a few of them in my comment section after the videos that I put up. They're never in the comments live, but they're always in the comments afterwards, calling me with every name under the sun, because apparently I'm an absolute bozo for my take on Ange. Sean is making up for lost time. Stream work makes the dream work. Yeah, 2 videos a day, mate. 2 videos a day. That's what I'm trying to do for you. So I've got might have a show later. It depends if there's anything more concrete or any more news, and I might go and do a video with a dog, or I will maybe do a fan show tonight, because that would be nice, wouldn't it? Be able to get some of you. I think a few people have been asking to come on the show, and so this will be the good way for you guys to who wants to do that to introduce yourselves. Sean Hell, good to see Sean. Dorrington, a rarity as left-footed central defender. Yeah, that's important. That is important. Buyback option would be preference if we sell, says Mark. Guys, hope you're all good. So what do you think of Thiago Motta? Yeah, I like him. I'd be okay if he was to come in. Be interesting to see. I don't know what happened with him in Italy though. He kind of just fell off a little bit quickly, didn't he? But yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that idea at all. Yes, but need more experience. Send him to Birmingham or West Brom if Mason gets the job. There you go. That's Dorrington, is it? Big up, Sean. Love the streams. Cheers, Richard. Appreciate you, mate. Morning, Flat Cat Bob. I'm not sure if that's aimed at me. If it is, my name is Sean. But Emma, good morning to you. He's on 300k a week. Who is? Dorrington. Cheeky 6 a.m. says Drew. Oh, Kai Havertz, that's it. Yeah, Havertz. Yeah, not like how'd that guy get 300 grand a week, and Chelsea got like top money back for him. It's absolutely insane, isn't it? Absolutely insane. They also got top money back on Timo Werner, didn't they? And then we ended up paying that guy's wages. So we've got to talk in a minute. I'm going to get through something. Let me press pause on this. Hello to everybody else. Do a video with your dog. Good job. We all know what you mean. You got a dirty mind, Timo. You got a dirty mind, bro. You know what I meant. Bugsy Malone, star of the show. She's looking at me right now going, when's my walk? And Nkunku is on 300 grand a week as well, is he? Is he really? You know, it wouldn't be on that at Tottenham. I think he goes back to Leipzig, right? I think this is the merry-go-round that's happening right now. And to be entirely honest, this could benefit Tottenham. So you've got Chelsea that have already stolen the march and gone for Liam Delap. Now, you can make the argument that Liam Delap is a brilliant player, English homegrown, and is going to be a superstar. I think he'll score 20 goals in the Chelsea team next year if he's fit and he starts most of the games. If they keep Nicholas Jackson, then they've got their two forwards. If they sell Nkunku, then does Nkunku come to Tottenham? Well, Tottenham's apparently, according to Ben Jacobs, the number one most concrete interest from the Premier League. But have you actually seen Nkunku's injury record? Let me get it up on the screen for you. It's insane. Here we go. Can I put this up? There we go. Present. Share screen. Is that it? This is the one. Right, look at this. From 2018-19, he missed 14 days. Okay, not bad. 2 weeks. Then he was fine for a season. Then from 2021, a month with an ankle problem. Then 8 days with a back problem. Then 8 days with coronavirus. That's not a problem. Then a wrist injury for 4 days. Not a problem. But then 2022-23, it all started going wrong. 84 days, so a third of the season, for a torn lateral knee ligament. Then 11 days because he wasn't fit. Then 40 days for a torn muscle fiber. Then 110 days with a knee injury last year. Then he was out for 44 days for fitness. He's out for 6 weeks because he wasn't fit. Oh, that was 2023. Sorry, 2023. Is it 2023? Oh, the 23-24 season. There we go. Yeah, sorry. And then another 24 days with a hip injury. Another 68 days with a hamstring injury. I'm sure these dates are wrong, aren't they? Was that last season? It was last season. And then this season, then this season, he's had most recently a knock, right, until right now, basically. So, I don't know. The geezer to me he's too injury prone to be let loose on our medical team. If he's on 300 grand a week. But either way, the story is that Tottenham are the one with the most concrete interest. But if Chelsea, I think, if Arsenal are making the move on Benjamin Sesko, of which, by the way, I'm not sure if Sesko is... I love Sesko. He's an absolute clinical finisher. But there was an Arsenal, a female, a woman Arsenal fan, female Arsenal fan who lives in Germany, who goes to see Leipzig play every week. I saw a video about this on Twitter. And she said, as I've been thinking, that the guy is raw. He can't pass. He can't connect the play. He's just someone that can get on the end of other people's work and put it in the back of the net. Clinical, which is great. It's fine. But if you're a team like Arsenal, don't you need a little bit of like continuity and, you know, rat-a-ta-ta? Because apparently, if you look at his stats, it's just horrendous. But even in a world where Arsenal do go and pay, I mean, they're saying 65 million, but what I read, it was 90 million to get him. In a world where they do that, then does Leipzig go and get back Nkunku? He wants to go back to Germany, where he's probably happier. So then Chelsea have got their 1 in, 1 out. That's them done. Arsenal have got Sesko. Aston Villa are trying to get Dusan Vlahovic lined up. What does that mean for Ollie Watkins? Right, work with me here. Newcastle United don't need a striker. They might need someone, but they're not going to go and get someone like a Gyökeres if they've got Isak, because Gyökeres is going to want to play minutes, and they play a 3 at the top with 2 wide guys like Gordon et al. So unless they change their shape, you wouldn't be playing Gyökeres and Isak. Manchester United are scraping around trying to find someone. So, but they can't afford anyone right now. They have to sell before they can buy. So it's one of those merry-go-rounds when there's a few teams that are still looking, right? But there's also a few teams out there, sorry, a few strikers out there that are as yet unaccounted for. Jonathan David. Okay, so Napoli are looking for a striker, right? So Jonathan David might go in that direction. Osimhen isn't going to go back to Italy, in my opinion. The way it left there with the racism and stuff, I don't think he wants to go back there. So would Osimhen come to the Premier League? Maybe. I think Atletico Madrid probably can't. If Atletico Madrid can't afford Romero, then they're already trying to sign Cardoso. Atletico Madrid could be someone that would go for Osimhen, and he could work in that system, but I don't think they have the money to pay his wages. So that's a little bit of a chalking off. It almost feels like maybe, and I'm not saying that this is like a bad thing, because it's always fine to do your business, but sometimes the early bird catches the worm. Other times, patience is a virtue. And I just wonder whether Chelsea moving for Liam Delap early, Arsenal not fucking around waiting because Gyökeres, however you say his name, has sort of said, do you know what? I'm going to wait and weigh up my options and see what I'm doing. Manchester City don't need a new striker. Are Liverpool going to go and get someone? If they do, Liverpool apparently have earmarked Ekitike. If Ekitike leaves Liverpool, then Frankfurt will need to go and get someone else. Would Gyökeres go to Frankfurt? I don't think so. Very, very unlikely. They wouldn't pay the wages, nor would he really want to go to that team. I don't think. They've already got El Yawahi that is was brought in as the future replacement for Omar Mamouche / Ekitike. And as I say, like the only team in Germany that's going to need a replacement striker is Leipzig if they sell Sesko. And I think maybe Arsenal are panicking a little bit, or Arteta's under the pressure going, I can't wait and fuck around anymore because we wasted last season without a striker. So if Sesko's ready to go and Gyökeres is saying, I don't want to go yet, I'm waiting to see what offers I get, then Arsenal might also go the early bird. And then Arsenal are done. Right? Arsenal are done. Arsenal don't need Leroy Sané, even though Sané can play on both the left and the right. And for what it's I always like in my mind, always sort of pictured and envisioned Sané, because I always remember him playing off the right. But I actually looked up his stats, and of the 28 games that he played last season, or 25 games, I think there was like 12 on the left, 13 on the right, and an equal amount of goals off both. So he's clearly multifaceted and can play off the left and the right. But we'll come to Sané in a minute. Let's just finish this striker merry-go-round here. So you have Jonathan David, who might go to Napoli, but might come to Tottenham. I don't think any one of the big names is going to go somewhere like a West Ham. So then you have Leipzig have Lois Openda as well, Jeff. Exactly. Right? Exactly. So I'm just sitting here thinking, is there... What about João Pedro at Brighton? I'm just sitting there, Alex, right, and thinking, do you know what? Tottenham are in a pretty fortuitous position we've got money, we have space in the squad, not a huge amount, but we definitely need to improve. But a lot of the threats for the London-bound players, the players that want to play in London, they might be making the early bird for their own purposes because they don't want to miss out. They don't want to fuck up. But in so doing, you're leaving a lot of quality on the table. You know, it's like people that there's like an all-you-can-eat buffet, and your competition have stuffed up on bread and gone too big on the first course. I just wonder whether or not we are left in a situation here where in a few weeks' time, there might still be a hell of a lot of potential trading opportunities at the front end of the pitch where two of Tottenham's biggest competition for the big names have already eaten their fill. I don't know. I'm speculating. Everyone's gone for the crab legs. Do you know what I mean? Are you guys on the same page as me, or are you thinking that we're am I making a mountain out of a molehill here? I'm just sitting there thinking it's very rare that there's that much potential, like there's that much talent that's emerging at teams that are traditionally selling clubs if the right money comes along. And there's not that many top teams that we'll be competing with. And Tottenham surely are going to break our wage structure. Surely we are. Santiago Jimenez went to Milan. He went to AC Milan. Victor Boniface as well, another one. I don't know if he's going to leave, is he? There is always some other team in Spain, Italy, and PSG. 100% there are, yeah. He's never known so many nines. I know, mate. Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? Like the last couple of years, it's been the short supply, high demand thing. And let me just see if Johnny wants to come on here. Have a chat with me about this. Do you want to join? 1 second, guys. Sorry. We're only going for a 9 if Richie goes. Yeah, we spoke about Richie yesterday, didn't we? The cock block of all cock blocks. You're trying to get laid. You're trying to get laid with a nice 9. But you can't get the girl home until your fucking younger brother pisses off out for the evening. Go away, Richie. I got the 9 of my dreams coming round. No, I'm playing FIFA. And I'm going to tell Mum. I'll tell Dad. Richie the cock block. Sean, if we sign any players before the Super Cup, can we play them in it? Yeah? Yeah. Of course, yeah. 100%. 100%. So look, there's a story. I don't know. And suddenly you kind of sit there and go, okay, well, look, let's sort of think about it for a second. Jonathan David, free transfer, not really free, but sort of cheaper, right? Leroy, we'll come back to the winger stuff in a second. But Jonathan David, Osman, who's an absolute goal scorer, absolute, like, just a wonderful, but he's a bit kind of temperamental, isn't he? A little bit, like, saucy. So you're kind of like, well, is he going to fit into that sort of model? I don't mind. I think he could. I'd be really happy. I mean, to be honest, if I woke up tomorrow morning and Osman to Spurs, here we go, I'd be thinking, we're back, right? We are back. So I'm happy with that one. Jonathan David, I'm happy with. Gyökeres, get the Swedish connection going. Go and get Hugo Larsson. You have Viking spine, right? Hugo Larsson, Decky, Berghvall, who's just apparently Berghvall's become. He signed that new contract a few weeks ago, and apparently, according to reports, the contract number is become one of the highest in the club. And then Gyökeres at the top. Unbelievable. That would be unbelievable. I mean, the continuity there, as long as they all get on, which you'd hope they would do. As I said before, Daniel Levy needs to think outside the box here. He's never going to have an empty seat in that stadium ever again if hanging around outside Tottenham High Road 5 hours before the stadium even opens on a match day because of the amount of hidey highs that are going to be outside. I'm going to buy an apartment in Tottenham. and Stockholm. And just ferry them back and forth. What are we doing here? Can you imagine us taking on PSG in the Super Cup? Double figures incoming. Double figures of what? Double figures of what? I'm missing something. Not sure. Not sure what that means. Sean said to you before, knock on Levy's door, you'll be better than our scouting team. They are crap. I appreciate that. I just like playing Football Manager, mate. It's double figures, score. Oh, okay. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Like if we do the high line thing, we'll get absolutely torn apart. If we do the low block thing, this is why again, not to go hot back, I'm sort of done with the Ange conversation, but like if all you now have is two kind of quivers in your bow, two quivers in your whatever they're called. I still think a certain team, a technical team like PSG could walk through a low block like that. You need to have a little bit of a mixed bag, and I'm just not sure it's going to work in the Champions League either. You can't just park the bus and hope to break all the time against everybody. That becomes predictable, and against better teams, they figure out a way to break that down as well. So it's complex, isn't it? Need a new striker, to be fair. Yeah, we're just trying to figure out who that would be. So, and like I say, and then you've got like even the likes of Dusan Vlahovic. So, by the way, sorry, I mentioned his name. What happens to Ollie Watkins? What happens to Ollie Watkins in a world where Dusan Vlahovic comes in? Is Ollie Watkins going to have to be sold? And if so, to who? To whom? Do Arsenal go and get two strikers because one's not enough? What happens if they go and get Sesko and he gets injured? And then they're back with Havertz again. Maybe they get rid of Marlon, says Sean. Maybe. Quiver bag, yeah? Quiver bag. Is that what it is? Patrick, you look like a smart man. Very, very cheesy grin. Like that about you. So, yeah, look. Lots and lots of interest. It's going to be a cracking summer of transfer news, views, includes, and you can find out all about it here. Let's get back to the other stories. Please smash the like button, guys. Please smash the subscribe. If you haven't already, hit the notification bell. And all those comments, keep them coming. Let's talk about Christopher Nkunku, right? So he's obviously on this concrete list. So Chelsea want £60 million, which is what they paid for him. I don't know how and they'll probably get it. I don't know how they can ever justify it. But let's look at his stats, right? So since he's played this season for Chelsea, 27 appearances, only 9 starts, 3 goals and 2 assists. He's 27 years old. He wants a lot of money. What's going on? And he's injury prone. And it's Chelsea, right? So I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. But what I do very much see on the cards is Leroy Sané. And I think he is someone that I'm getting a little bit rat-a-tar-tar about. I really do see Sané as an option because he can play off the left, he can play off the right equally well. I always thought he was a right winger. But according to his stats that I've seen, in fact, let's get his stats up for you. Let's have a look at it, shall we? So, in terms of output, non-penalty goals, a goal every other game, 93rd percentile, 98th percentile for his XG, shots total, nearly 4 a game, 98th percentile. Passes attempted, 89th percentile. Pass completion, 90th percentile. This is the difference between him and Benjamin Sesko, for example, whose passing stats are atrocious. So if you get the ball to Sesko and he takes it on to score, he's probably going to score. But if he has to do anything else, he can break down loads of moves. And Arsenal are not a team that likes to lose the ball in transition, right? They don't like to get transitioned on unnecessarily. So, I think that Benjamin Sesko comes with it. Obviously, some upside. Some dynamite killer instinct, but also a lot of risk. And Arsenal might get picked off a few times if they push their sort of like the way Tottenham have been picked off many times. Because for want of a better example, but Pape Sarr was terrible at giving the ball away in the final third, and then we get picked off on because players like Bentancur that were asked to play in the 6 when they're not 6 were then not touched tight enough in the rest defence to the person in the 10 that was hanging around the back end looking for a cheap score. Why do all my analogies come back to pulling in the bar? They're not deliberate. Pass completion 90%, right? Touches, attacking penalty areas, seven touches per game. Progressive passes received 15, 99th percentile. He loves to get the ball in the half turn and be able to turn and run on it. Love that stuff. But his passing stats are outrageously good for a winger. Outrageously good. Long, medium, and short. Completes in the top 90 percentile passing stats, and it's mainly live ball stuff. He's not interested in any of these like set piece bullshit. Goal and shot creating actions right up there. Right, defensive actions. He works hard as well. He's a workhorse. Look, he gets back and defends. He's not someone. He's going to fit this system like a hand in glove. The only question mark is whether he has the stamina, whether he's still got that engine on him to go for 90 minutes. And I saw on the We Are Tottenham TV group chat earlier that I think in the last, in his last 10 games, he's played like he's basically, or last 10 starts, he managed to make 85 minutes or more. And then the other 5 of them, and the other 5, he got subbed off. So question marks around his, maybe about his age and whether he's coming down a little bit. But if you think about it on a numbers wise, so the other story that Ben Jacobs is saying, and the guys are saying, whoever else was that was saying it. Oh, sorry, it was Christian Falk, right? The German Bayern guy. He's saying that concrete talks are happening between Bayern Munich and Tottenham regarding, between Sane and Tottenham, because it's nothing to do with Bayern Munich. Now, the other consideration here, let's just get this one up for a second, is Mathys Tel. Right, so we wouldn't be activating Mathys Tel if we go after Sane. Mathys Tel has said that he wants to stay. He loves it here. A lot of you guys don't think that he's a good player or he's nowhere near the value, and I agree, he's nowhere near the worth of 60 million quid. But we have to obviously factor in here, how much is Mathys Tel earning in salary? Let me just move this story forward a little bit so we get this down here. Mathys Tel's stats are atrocious. This doesn't look like a £50 million player at all, does he? Just on, look at that, lots of red bars. Obviously, that's half of that is in his time in Bayern Munich. But Mathys Tel, I'm pretty sure we're paying the full salary, aren't we? So he's on £4.16 million a year, which is what's about 100 grand a week, is it? Just under? About 80 grand a week? Yeah, £80,000 a week. So I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. But the consideration here, I guess, is, are Bayern Munich going to be angry with Tottenham? Not that we should care about any of that stuff, but there is a relationship there that can be nurtured in different ways. If we turn around and say, because they don't want to lose Sane, they wanted to keep him, but Pinny Zahavi. Also, have Tottenham ever dealt with Pinny Zahavi before? I imagine, and isn't Pinny Zahavi, look, typical super agent, right? He goes and speaks to Sane just as he's coming out of his contract. The previous agent of Leroy Sane must be absolutely fucking fuming, right? Because that's their massive payday. I don't know why agents seem to think that they should get 15 million or 10 million of the signing bonuses just because their players out of contract. But if you're Sane's ex-agent and you've been working with him for years, and then he's decided, you've convinced him, he's decided to run down his contract so that you're all thinking you're getting that giant payday, and then Pinny Zahavi, that little shit, you can imagine him thinking, right? Pinny. He's gone and taken him off of the previous agent, and that guy's going to be around for about 5 minutes and get a monster signing fee. I mean, it's outrageous. But at the end of the day, almost lost that. At the end of the day, he's going to get his money, and Sane to Spurs gives me Timo 2.0 vibes. I'd rather go for someone else. But let's just think them out for a second, right? 300 grand a week. Let's just call it working euros. So 15 million pound a year. If you sign him on a 4-year deal, or a 3-year deal, let's call it a 3-year deal, then that is 45 million quid. Let's say there's an extra 20 million quid in signing fees, right? So that's 65 million pound for a player for his salary and his signing fee over 3 years. So 20 million pound a year. Richarlison cost us 65 million pound or 60 million pound just for his. He doesn't work for free. So like when people say like, you know, it's too much money. If you had to have paid for Sane when he was full, if you wanted him, but he was still within his contract and he was worth 50 or 60 million, then you're essentially getting him. If you paid it that way, then if you were paying him any money at all, you'd be paying more than you would be under the current deal. So like, to me, like the money's kind of irrelevant. You're getting a top draw player for free. Well, not for free, but like you're essentially paying him in wages what he would have been costing you in a transfer fee. So I don't know. Sane and Timu should not even be discussed in the same sentence. Timu. Timu Werner, yeah, like that. Very good. Yeah, Levy picks Sane. Ryan Gloria, Brighton fan, eh? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Let me ask you, Brian. Well, Brian, what's happening with your boy João Pedro? Is he going to be? Is he going to be around? Yeah, I think Drew Zilla. I think you're right that they take the 24-year-old Sane. Kind of thinking the version Sane doesn't have the hunger and desire we need. Dude's looking for a payday. But what are the other options? Would you rather Mathys Tel or Leroy Sane? Which one do you want? Because I would want Sane, and I actually quite like Mathys Tel. I do, but I think that there's a terror in Sane, and he's a. I can't land on what name to call him. Maybe I'll call him Sané, a new version. Let's call him Leroy. Let's call him Leroy, shall we? Do you want Leroy or do you want Mathys? Right? Because I think, as much as I think that Mathys Tel there's a real player in there that just needs to be nurtured and brought out and give him. He's not like he's short in confidence, but just give him some finishing training. Like Sané's stats, Leroy's stats are just insane. And so for me, like I'm just sitting there going like, it makes sense even at 300,000 euros a week. It makes sense. Even at 20 million pound signing fee, it still makes sense because he does exactly what Ange wanted. Ange is asking for, and this is assuming that he's going to be here, but Ange is asking for a player with leadership. We all want someone with experience, Champions League level experience. This guy he's done it in the Premier League. There's no question marks over his ability to transition. The only question mark is his desire. His fitness, his stamina with age. Are we guilty of? Is it the same sort of thing with like a Sonny? Like are we buying Sane? Are we buying Sonny 2018 Sonny or 2021 Sonny or 2025 Sonny? Same for Sane. We just don't know, right? You just don't know. That's the question. But is the talent there? 100%. Is the experience there? 100%. Is the guile, the technique, is it a hole filler? Is he multifaceted? Can he play off left and on the right? 100%. So if there's a big injury to someone else, then you can kind of shoehorn him in. He could even play in the 10. I wouldn't do it, but he has played in the 10. And so I just think that there's an awesome situation there. Then you don't need Mathys Tel. Then you can go back to Bayern Munich and say, hey, you still owe us that money for Harry Kane. Who else have you got that might be interested? Now, I've spoken about my admiration of Josh Kimmich. I know he's just signed a 5-year deal, but that 5-year deal might be, also just a way for them to protect their investment. But would Josh Kimmich come to Tottenham to play Champions League? Probably not. So I'm not going to focus or worry about that one, especially after his 5-year deal. But Palhinha is obviously an absolute monster, right? And that one to me, if you can go and get Sane, if you can go and get Palhinha, if you can go and get Jonathan David, or you've got the money, by the way. If you do go and do that, you've got the money still for for Gyökeres. Like, I don't know if I'm in the dream world, but as I said before, there is a striker market that's materializing here where for all intents and purposes, I think that there's suddenly more supply than there is demand. And that's why I'm saying that maybe the early bird catches the worm, but also patience can be a virtue. And if Chelsea didn't want to fuck around and miss out on Liam Delap, fair enough. I don't hate it. I think he's a wonderful player. Arsenal, I think that they are a little bit worried that if they would rather have Gyökeres, but Gyökeres is saying I'm not doing anything yet. I want to see what my options are, and then Sesko goes in a different direction early. Arsenal's shitting themselves because if Arteta will lose everybody in the Arsenal fan base if they start this season without a striker. He knows it. The club know it. So they have to go early. Don't get me wrong. Benjamin Sesko is a great player. Sure, he'll do fine, but he's not the perfect full. He's not full. He's not the full solution. And I think that Gyökeres is a better fit because he's what they need right now. Sesko he's one for now, but also for the future. I'm sure in a couple of years' time, Sesko will be the best striker or one of the best strikers in the world. So if I had to pick between Sane and Tel, I would probably choose Yamal. Yeah. Paulinho is like Amadou Onana. Break-up play really well, but poor on the ball. Amadou Onana is a beast. A beast. You wouldn't want to get in a fight with Amadou Onana, would you? But yeah, you're right. He's not great on the ball. I think Paulinho is he can thread a pass for sure. But he's not that sort of player though. Really, when I was doing my my video last year on the top 10 DMs that Tottenham need to pursue this summer, of which we never signed any of them. Like my take on Paulinho was very much like he's just no nonsense. He'll win the ball back and then just give it away to someone else who can do better with it than he can, and that's fine. That's fine. If you put Paulinho in there and it just gives us that kind of extra layer of protection, he's the condom on the team, then you can offlay it to Lucas Berghvall or Hugo Larsson or whoever it is that we're going to go for in that kind of box to box role, and let them spray it around, like an 8 should be able to do. I don't need a 6 to be a. I mean, obviously, there's another one like Samuel Ritchie, right? Samuel Ritchie is at Torino. He's more of that Pirlo-esque guy. He's the guy who can break the play up and also pop it around. But he's 23. He hasn't done it at the top end yet. So, there's not even any links there. So why has Edison gone quiet? I don't know. Look, there's all sorts of change happening at Atalanta, isn't there? Gasparini is retired, or not retired. He's left. Hang on a second. Join now. It's on my show. Sorry guys, 1 second. So yeah, there's that, right? So there's that story. Anyway, what other stories we've got for you today? Another player we've been linked with is Enzo Milo. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. A player that is playing. He's a French player playing out in Germany. I'm not sure if there's any real truth to it. Oh, also Alejo Veliz. Alejo Veliz is going back to Rosario Central in all likelihood. I mean, what are we doing here? This has got Brian Hill vibes all over it, isn't it? How much do we pay for Brian Hill just to give him back to them, and also Gio Lo Celso for the favour? I can't lie, Sean. I'm still laughing at you comparing Ange to a prosy. Yeah, stripper, I think I said. Or maybe I did say prosy, yeah. Well, he tells you what you want to hear. He gave you your best night of your life. And you're caught up thinking, you know what? Maybe we should run away together. I'll save you from this life. Give the girl a tip and go home to your wife, okay? You'll wake up in the morning and you'll realise that it wasn't a great idea. Sean's sorting out his stash. No, Sean was inviting Johnny onto the stream. Is it concrete or a brick wall? I don't know. Probably a brick wall. Cap in Saverho. 100%, Josh. 100%. More stories than Roald Dahl. 100%, mate. 100%. Yeah. So look, and so then look. So we've done the kind of the striker merry-go-round, right? Then you got the winger merry-go-round, and there's a hell of a merry-go-round going on there. You got who have we got there to talk about? We got Xavi Simons. You've got Mbumo. You have whatever we're going to do with Sane. Sterling might be on the move again. Sean is a major problem. Did a video last year of top 10 if we should go far and bought none of the kiss of death, Sean. Some of those players were relative. Oh, it's Johnny boy. Hi, Johnny, you still in your pants?
I'm still in my pants. I just got a call on my Batmobile on the bat line.
How you doing?
Calling. Yeah, I'm fine. I've called away from the sunshine and to hear what's news. Well,
it's just obviously concrete talks regarding Leroy Sané that Tottenham are front and centre, and it's actually ongoing. And this is not coming out from like team talk or whatever. This is coming out from Christian Falk of Bayern fame. And so we're thinking about.
I was just going to say, did you read that right when you said concrete talks? Are you sure we didn't get him in a room and embed his feet in concrete so he couldn't move?
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Yeah. You're not going until you sign.
So
I want to get your take on that one, but I actually want to get your take more on this striker merry-go-round, because I've been saying this phrase for the last 45 minutes, and I think it might be apt here. I could be massively wrong, but for every phrase in life, every life's adage, right? Like there's a popular phrase that is used by people to explain why you should behave a certain way in a certain situation. There is an equal and opposite one that is just as popular, just as and just as worthwhile on the opposite side. So in this case, I'm talking about the early bird catches the worm. Everyone says us, that's what you use when it says go early, go hard, get it done. What my mum and dad used to tell me when it was about revising for your exams. The early bird catches the worm. Sometimes the early bird at the party or the early boy at the party catches the 9, right? But sometimes patience is a virtue as well. Sometimes you could rock up to the party at 11 o'clock when everyone else is sloppy and you've just walked in your fresh suit, bit of aftershave, and there is still a smoke show left there looking for someone to go home with.
You normally left with the munters. Normally.
You normally are.
Yeah.
But in this world, mate, this striker world, I just think that this, for the first summer ever, or in a long time, there might just be more supply than there is demand. Think about it, right? Let me pitch this to you. So Chelsea have gone early, right?
Yeah, listen, Chelsea have gone early. Delap is good friends with Reece James, so that's probably the reason why that one's happening. Arsenal fans, beating themselves up with a terrible dilemma. I wish we had this dilemma. Sesko or Gyökeres. I mean, I said I'll swap them all. I'll swap all of ours.
Yeah,
for one of those to have that dilemma. I still think Jonathan David is one that Spurs really need to visit. But look, at the end of the day, Man City are about to, dip their toes into the water, spend big. Liverpool are already moving. Chelsea are. Even Man United, who haven't got European football, have got Cunha. It looks like Jadon Sancho is going to end up going to Chelsea. They'll strike a deal. Garnacho looks like he's going to end up going somewhere. There's deals to be done. Mainu, they got a lot of money to go out. Man United,
they have to raise that first, right? And it's always a bit of a Mexican standoff. But with the striker role specifically, think about the names. I don't want to bore the chat, so I've been going through it. But you got Liverpool that are looking strong on Ekitike, and then Frankfurt will need a replacement. But they ain't going to get a Gyökeres, right? They might be able to convince a Jonathan David. They
got Hawaii, who probably will step into his shoes. Ekitike.
Yeah, but then you've got Napoli are looking for Jonathan David, but let's just say that they get them, for example. So then Napoli are out the equation. Manchester United have to sell before they can buy. Chelsea have already made a move. If Nkunku is sold, not to Tottenham, I don't think, but maybe he goes back to Leipzig to replace Sesko that goes to Arsenal.
Yeah.
Newcastle aren't going to make a move this summer because they don't have space with their system, and they've got Isak, and none of the big boys are going to want to come and fight for Isak for his spot. The Harry Kane conundrum, I guess, is like what they're going to have to go through. And then, so after that, you're sitting there going, well, that still leaves Osimhen. That still leaves Gyökeres, right? That still leaves Jonathan David that might be on it, even if he does go to Napoli, but that's still not accounted for. There's very little other teams out there that are able to afford the 300 grand a week, 250 to 300 grand a week, and pay whatever the fees are. So I'm just sitting there thinking maybe Tottenham might end up here being a beneficiary of being late mover advantage.
Listen, look, if you want the best, you got to move quick, right? As far as Nkunku's concerned, he's on one of the mental contracts, okay? Mental long contract. I can't see him doing anything other than a loan. I can't see Leipzig affording the sort of money that Chelsea are going to want for him. So a loan. Spurs don't do, deals with Chelsea on the whole. I got to be honest with you. I actually thought Christopher Nkunku would actually smash it in the Premier League because of his mobile, but he got that injury, missed pre-season training. And he's been a big failure really, as have a few strikers this season. But I don't know, Sean. I think right now, as you say, the merry-go-round, will Sesko want to go to Arsenal? Who wants to go there more, Gyökeres or Sesko?
Well, I've heard that Gyökeres is just, this is the point. I think that Arsenal are being forced. I think Arteta is being forced into a situation where he'd prefer to have Gyökeres because he's the real deal and he's done it. Sesko is still a work in progress, a very good work in progress, but a work in progress. But because I've heard that Gyökeres is sitting there saying, I'm going to wait and see what options I have. I'm not in any rush. And Arteta is terrified because I think he will lose the entire Arsenal fan base that are still on his side if there's any danger at all of them starting the season without a new striker. And so they're going, well, if Sesko's ready to go and Gyökeres is holding on, then just get Sesko done.
No. It's not gonna happen. For a start, the DOF, Arsenal's DOF, has a strong relationship with Gyökeres. Okay, so I actually think if any deal gets done, it'll be that one personally, rather than Sesko. Due to relationship. Listen, football's all about relationships, and when it comes to swinging deals. And I think that Arsenal will get Gyökeres. I hope they don't, believe me, because I've wanted him now for more or less 2 years now. I find Gyökeres, I've said it before on here, he reminds me very much of the BS that we used to get around Harry Kane. One season wonder, yet every season he does it. 63 goals in 58 games. Tell me he's no one season wonder. Berta, that's it. Yeah. True.
You know what's interesting, right? Even if Arsenal do go and get Gyökeres, by the way, even the Zubimendi deal's not done. Apparently, all these it's done, the here we goes. There's always a little bit of stumbling blocks. They're not actually. I think Romano's pulling the trigger on the it's done before it's done.
Yeah, it's going to get done. Listen, when we look at it as fans, right, and we say, "Oh, the deal's done." In essence, the deal's done. But if you've ever seen a contract, right, the minute details in contracts, if this happens, if that happens, the bonus structure, how it's structured, when it has to be paid, the payment dates, how much each is going to be paid on each one. So, there's a lot that goes into clinching and finalising a deal. The Cunha deal still hasn't been done yet. We know he's going to Man United. So
yeah. Well, officially, nothing can be done officially until the 1st of June, right? But that's tomorrow, isn't it? Or was it on Sunday?
Sunday.
Johnny, let me ask you this, mate. There's 700 people watching. Smash the like, guys, if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe.
Do we know any?
I know a few of them. There's actually, it's weird. There's a few Arsenal, Brighton fans. Like, this channel's usually just all Tottenham, but maybe some of you guys have found us on Football Inc. or Sean Butler TV and coming over to say hello.
Actually,
Nice to see you all.
While we're here, guys, actually, there's 700 of you. Sean, pop a link in.
I will.
Pop a link into Football Inc. This is Sean and I's new baby that we're trying to grow. So really appreciate your support on the channel, which is doing very well as for something that's just started. But he'll pop something out. If you could just pop along there and hit subscribe. And basically what we're doing on there is every day we're doing video shorts, one live, probably an hour, and video shorts. There you go there. Hit that Football Inc. And if you could subscribe, really appreciate it. And we're going to be doing all things football, not just Spurs. Because the situation...
Spurs are included in it as well, obviously.
Spurs obviously are included in it. But yesterday was a lot about Jim Ratcliffe and the shenanigans over there. And be careful what you wish for as Spurs fans with Daniel Levy. You know, they hated the Glazers. They paraded. They marched. They protested about getting rid of the Glazers. And in comes Ratcliffe, who has been far, far worse. So, we got to be mindful.
Shambles, isn't he? Horrendous.
Be mindful of that as much as people want Daniel to leave.
The dream scenario, though, Johnny, would be if Qatar came in and said, we'll buy out Joe Lewis, right? We'll have the ambition to be able to put money, move money around on a bit of paper, but also back it up with loans or whatever else, right? At cheap debt. And then say, Daniel Levy, you can keep your £4 million a year, but you are no longer involved in football matters. You are purely a commercial behemoth, and that's where you're, do what you got to do your NFL thing, do your whatever.
Property, hotels, all of that.
All that shit, right?
Yeah.
You get your £4 million a year, but stay out of the way, but just continue to be an absolute giant at what you're good at. And then we're going to bring in the very best DOF, if that's Paratici and Vinny or whoever, and then let them just decide what we do. And then if we need more money to get something done, right, we raise the wage structure. Not like we still got to be like cognizant of its. Look how fucked Manchester United are, and look how like they've been the biggest brand and the biggest, most profitable club, the biggest revenue club in England for so many years, and yet they are now, because of their misspend and mismanagement, they are now doing these horrible things. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility. Even though relegation might be a distant, weak threat, you can still get yourself in a bit of shit if you make the wrong decisions too often, like United have done. Yeah,
100%. I mean, you look at the who's who of signings that they've made and the amount of money that these signings are on. Mason Mount, 300 grand. Rashford, 300 grand. Casemiro over 300. I mean, it's like crazy, absolute crazy telephone numbers for a lot of these players. I do think, though, that the fact that a signing fee is amortized over 4 or 5 years of the contract, Spurs really do now need to step up and pay the wages that is expected of a top player. There's no point bidding. Say we went in and paid, we came in with Mark Gahey, for example. Romero leaves. I hope he doesn't, but say Romero leaves and we come in with a £65 million bid, but we're only willing to pay him 120 grand a week. It's not going to happen. You've got to be realistic. You want top players. If you brought Sesko or Gyökeres in, they ain't coming to you for 150 grand a week. You've got to be looking at 250 probably a week.
Yeah.
And upwards.
Which is only 50 grand more. I say it's only 50 grand more. It's an extra £2.5 million a year. But we make £2.5 million out of every one of those additional non-match day events, right? So, we could start to, I've always said that Daniel Levy's got a bit of the wrong risk appetite to be a chairman. Now's the time, Daniel, to figure it out. Johnny, let me ask you a question, mate. I know you're a little bit closer to the situation, and I know this is your boy, and I know you can't obviously speak on behalf of anyone, but in your mind, do you think because I put a video out yesterday, there was loads of rumors on Twitter, but there was actually, I know the rumor, the guy who put that rumor out is just probably I think he saw what I saw, which I still can't find it. There was a thing that was in German, and it was there, and I translated it, and it basically said that Tottenham have, according to senior sources in Germany, that Bayern Munich are not going to be able to do the Eze thing, and that Tottenham have entered discussions, and it's serious. and then it just disappeared. I can't find it after that. It's weird. But do you think that there's any chance that Eze and Sane can come to Tottenham this year, and then obviously that would put to bed the Mathys Tel thing? But could you, on that basis, see? Imagine if Tottenham had an Eze, Sane, Jonathan David, and then we went back to Bayern Munich and said, as you're not going to be able to pay off the money with the Tel deal, Palhinha. Would you be happy with those four? Would that be a monster summer for you?
I think for me, there's one player who's universally, probably, I don't think there's been a more universal signing wanted by Spurs fans than Eberechi Eze. I don't think there is one. We're all divided on Solanke, for example, when he signed. I thought that was horrendous. I was praying we didn't sign him. But there again, I would have been over the moon if we signed Gyökeres. Eze, though, I think you would find in the high 80% of people who would say Eze. Look, if you followed Spurs for long enough, you would know that Eze's all over, stamped Spurs. The way he plays, the way he glides, the way he passes the ball. I mean, him and Maddison would be a dream playing on it with each other, because Ebbs would be making those runs. He'd be cutting in from the side. He'd be playing through the middle.
That relationship would just be sensational, wouldn't it?
It would be sensational, right? Not only that, you'd have a guy who's hanging around the D, pick up the ball, drop his shoulder, bang, bottom right hand corner, bang, top corner.
Free kick specialist.
It's what we don't have. Yeah, we just don't have that. Sane, I'm mixed with. 29, coming up 30. What are we going to offer him? We're not going to offer him a 5-year contract coming up.
I was just, before you came on, I was saying, it's outrageous, mate. Imagine if you are the agent, the ex-agent of Sane, who runs down his contract with him, and then just before the contract expires, he gets dumped for the super agent Pinny Zahavi, who comes in and is going to negotiate now and move somewhere. He wants to come to London. He wants to come to the Premier League. I don't think he's going to go to Arsenal unless Arsenal sell Martinelli and make room on the left. But you've already got Saka on the right, so it's just, I think it makes more sense to come to Tottenham. Chelsea, you just said that Jadon Sancho is going to be formalised, and they've already got 100 wingers, so there's not going to go there. There's no one else in London that Sané would go to. So on that basis, if Sané's coming in on 200 and this, we'll keep it in euros for argument's sake, and then we'll just knock 20% off. But like 300 grand a week is 15 million. Even if the player wants and the agent wants 25 million quid in signing fees, then on a 3-year contract and the signing fees, that's 65 million quid for the total package for 3 years, right? That is what we paid for Dominic Solanke. So you're getting a player that can do a lot for the amount of money that you've essentially paid for Dominic Solanke, and then whatever you're paying Dominic Solanke as a salary is additional money on top. And for me, Leroy Sané is like he's when he's on, mate, he's incredible. The only concern I have is whether you're buying, as I used the example earlier, are you buying Sonny, this version of Sonny, based on what you remember him being the previous version of Sonny?
Mate, to me, you're all romanticising. In my opinion, I'm not saying he didn't score goals last season. I think he scored 11 goals. I can't remember how many assists. But I think you're romanticising. When I think of Sane, I don't think the Bayern Munich Sane. I think of the Manchester City Sane, who was ripping teams up and destroying them and creating every week, who you had in your fantasy football team. And it could be guaranteed each week to be getting you points. I think there's a romantic notion that, he's a name. Therefore, we do need experience. I'm not going to lie. I think, where we went wrong, we went for too many kids. But if we add experience, but it does experience mean players who are 30 years of age, in wing wide positions. I'd be happy to take a 29, 30-year-old in the midfield position. Bring me Palhinha at that age.
Yeah.
I'm happy. If you're going to ask me if there's any player that I want right now from Bayern Munich, it wouldn't be Mathys Tel, it wouldn't be Sane, it would be Palhinha. That's my personal opinion.
Would you take Heung Min?
No, mate. No, he's honestly, he's got more injuries than I get getting out of my bath. I mean, honestly, he's constantly injured.
Yeah.
He was offered to us along with Kvaratskhelia. I can never pronounce his name. That was at Napoli. Went to Napoli. Conte didn't want him. Went to Napoli instead. How ironic that he ended up playing. I mean, how ironic. He didn't want him. He went to Napoli. Conte goes to Napoli. He leaves Napoli to go to PSG. And I hope that they win I think any team that's deserving to win the Champions League, for me anyway, is PSG.
You wouldn't want Harry Kane back. So Niall comes in for a nice one there.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Finally found the replacement to Harry Kane.
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if Harry came back, I don't want to see him dropping 20 yards down into the midfield again and blocking out. Like, stay up front. I wouldn't be making him do all the leg work, working hard. Just carry on, work the back four, and that's it. Not dropping down. I mean, Dom Solanke thinks he's Harry Kane at times. He drops down, drops into the midfield. The only difference is he can't spray a pass 25 yards to the other side of the pitch. So, listen, again, will it be a sentimental return? How old's Kane now? 30...
32? 31.
31. Yeah.
Would you take Michael Olise back?
Mate, I would have taken him before he left. What do you mean?
Yeah. No, but would you take him now? Would you have him now?
Yeah, they ain't selling him, mate. I mean, I love Michael Olise. Again, he's had a lot of issues, problems, injury problems when he was at Palace. I used to say, right, you want to get deals done, just go to Crystal Palace, buy Olise and Eze, job done. Thank you very much. Have you seen their link-up play? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Olise and Eze's link-up play for Crystal Palace? Different level. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to be creative. But like we said, Sean, everyone else is at the party chatting up the birds right now. They've got the drinks in, they're chatting up the bird. They're even dancing, like trying to slip a little tongue in. We, unfortunately, I stay at home.
Slip a little tongue.
We don't even have an Uber driver. We don't even have an Uber driver right now to take us to the party. We're waiting. And until someone's in the taxi driving us there, whether it's going to be Ange or Thomas Frank, then, we can't join in. And
I don't want Thomas. If you're going to get rid
of
Ange,
I know he's not a sexy signing for many, many fans. And let's be honest, right? You know how Ange has got 2 years. I mean, he got the first 10 games and it all went Pete Tong. 38 absolute shit shows, right, we've had since then. But everyone's made excuses. So let's we are so waiting for a victim. Yeah.
So you want Eze, but if we're going to go, if there's a second winger, if it's not Sane,
listen, you look.
We need somebody who can play off the right hand side.
If you bring in Brian Mbeumo, right? If you bring in Brian Mbeumo, and you bring in Eze, I think you don't need to look any further, and all you need to do is making sure you get your six and your backup. I banned the word backup. Your competitive left centre back, like a backup left backup. The one I'd go for is Hincapié from Bayer Leverkusen. I've liked him since the last World Cup. Ecuadorian, left centre back, left back, great going forward, mobile, great with his feet, perfect. We can't have a situation again where Micky van der Ven gets down, after 3 games. And we got Ben the Hitman Davies back in.
He's going to Wrexham.
Is he?
Yeah.
It'd be lovely for him. Nice story.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a nice story. Listen, he deserves it.
Him. 100%. Perfect story for him.
He should have a bloody testimonial. Listen, I don't know the older ones amongst us who are out there, right? If you stay 10 years at a club, you automatically qualified for a testimonial. when I was younger, when I was a young kid, those were the games that you could afford to go to because they weren't expensive. And there was loads of them. I got all the programs here somewhere in the house. He deserves one, you know. Bring back, imagine an old testimonial. Bring back Harry Kane. Bring back all his favourite old players to come back and play for him. I think it'd be tremendous. I think he deserves it, but I don't know whether Daniel will give him one.
Well, I don't think. I mean, are testimonials now about the money? They used to be about the money, didn't they? Because they used to get all the money, didn't they?
Yeah, but I think it's about both things. I think it's about saying thank you.
Davies need the money though. Surely, like these days, even players like him get 80 grand a week, don't they?
Listen, I'm just saying it's a thank you, right?
Yeah,
for your service. You know, some people, not everyone wants a loser's watch with your name loser on the back. But, you know, Eric Dyer. You know, didn't get his real send-off. Did Harry Kane get a proper send-off? I think he should have got a proper send-off when he went off to Bayern Munich. Hugo Lloris, his send-off was being substituted at half-time, 5-0 down against Newcastle. You know, we seem to have lost that sort of thing. It's such a rare thing to have a player stay at a club for 10 years that I think, you know, it should be respected and honoured in some way or other, even if it's not. Listen, even if the money goes to their favourite charity, sure.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
You know, it's just a mark of, you know, for fans to come along, you know, whoever's your favourite. I mean, Ben Davies might not be your favourite, but you might feel like you want to
like
go
Ben. I've always liked Ben Davies. I think it's a good.
I used to give him a hard time, but I respect him immensely now. Now he runs the book club.
Just quickly, let me ask you about the other. So this Chef Sarpreme guy on Twitter, who sometimes pretends he's an ITK, other times he's an impatient Tottenham fan that's crying about Daniel Levy. I
don't speak, mate.
What's that? Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Well, he's just put out a tweet saying Tottenham have already earned 34 million euros in transfer income. He's saying that we got £10 million for card or 10 million euros for Cardoso. That deal hasn't gone through yet, so I'm not sure what that is. Marcus Edwards, 4 million euros. That might be true. Did we get 20 million euros for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg?
We got a loan with an obligation.
Yeah, for 20 million euros. Really?
I think 20 million, but we got a loan with an obligation, so it might be including the loan fee.
Can anyone in the chat that knows more than Johnny or I, can you fill us in on the Højbjerg money? I didn't.
Yeah, me and him don't communicate.
Oh, fair enough. I tend to get dragged into Twitter beef when I'm barely even
on it. I don't have Twitter beef. I asked this guy very nicely to refrain from something, to which he sent me some rather disgusting messages. But
fair enough.
Yeah. Bullshit reigns supreme, I think.
100%. 100%.
What was it you said? If you say enough things, one of them will be true.
Yeah, if you say everything, then something's going to be right. You know. So, and then this story about Fabio Paratici. Oh, this is one thing. I'll second.
Fabio's coming back, mate. But let me just tell you about Fabio. Fabio will not be coming back to be working under Munn and Lange. Yeah. Yeah,
I agree.
No,
is there any chance of getting Inzaghi? Inzaghi's going to Saudi for the money, isn't he?
I mean, listen, it's a tough one. You know, Saudi, 25 million, stunning luxury home, no tax, or come to Spurs for 8 to 10 million a year.
Yeah, well, listen, on that basis, though, I asked this question yesterday. Is there any amount of money that, like, to quote the words of Heisenberg, name me one thing in life that isn't negotiable? Could you get Jurgen Klopp to come to Tottenham?
Listen, if the Saudis or the Qataris came in, right, and I always said to you the fact that Charrington's come into the board, former head of Citigroup, who came in, Joe Lewis's personal banker, merger and acquisitions, private equity, and then he brings in Vinny, who has, many connections with private equity. I think they're dressing the board for inward investment. I think the club desperately needs money for inward investment. Like we said before, for the capital intensive projects, which are the hotel, the medical centre at the training ground, and the Whitewebs development. And therefore, the only way to get that, in my opinion, if you're going to go to the banks to go and get loan, money's still expensive right now, especially for the type of loans that we'd be looking for.
100%.
So for me, it makes absolutely perfect sense now. The problem we have is Daniel's fluctuating valuation. Los Polos Hermanos.
Yeah. He was a brilliant character, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Sensational.
I love Better Call Saul. Going back to it.
He's brilliant as well, yeah. So good, man.
Better Call Saul. Did you watch the Better Call Saul? Better Call Saul was as good, I thought.
It was, yeah. It's a sensational show, yeah. Sensational show, yeah.
I know. So I think that, should the Saudis or the Qataris come in, I think one of the demands would be for them, due to the fact that we got massive FFP and PSR headroom, that some of the money that comes in is spent on transfers, because they're amortized, as I said, over 5 years. So it will go towards wages. So I would love.
I'm not having this bollocks that's getting put around. And I said it back in, I think it was March, right? A load of people always think that I'm defending Daniel Levy. If you watch my channel enough, you know I don't, right? I'll call it as I see it. I think that the message that was put around that Tottenham have to sell to buy in a world where we don't win the Europa League because we have £260 million of transfer debt is the biggest spin attempted by people that think they're clever on people that they think are stupid.
Well,
every club that conducts transfer business on the regular, like Tottenham, everybody, unless they sell, like a Caicedo, unless you're like a Brentford or a Brighton or a Bournemouth or whatever, or a Southampton. But most clubs have got over 150, 200 million pound by the transfer.
Just ask you, Sean, do you actually think those numbers are right? Because I can't see. I was trying to work this out the other night, or actually last night, when I was playing cards, that Man United, they said Man United have got 330 million pounds worth of transfer debt. Now, when you look at 80 million for Casemiro, 80 million, 75 million for Højlund, 80 million for this one.
Sancho.
Jadon Sancho, 75 million pound. We're not doing these transfers.
But if you think about it, it's on a roll. Like, if the average contract,
I get that, but still, I thought that the gap between their 330, I thought that if they're 330, there's no way that we can be that close to Man United.
Yeah, but transfer debt doesn't also include the transfer owed, right? So we're owed probably 70 million, 60 million from Bayern Munich. We're owed 20 million for Højbjerg. We're owed money for Lo Celso. We're owed all that stuff. So
that's the prop, right? So this is the point I was going to make. Historically, Spurs have actually been a shit show when it comes to recouping money for players. I mean, when you think we didn't spend any money for 500 days for Pochettino, and then they give that mug Steve Hitchen all that money, and what did he buy? He bought Ndombele, 65 million, no return. He bought Lo Celso, more or less no return. He bought Ryan Sessegnon, no return. And he bought Jack Clark, who we got, I think, of the 8 million, I think we got like 4 or 5 million and a bit of sell on. So, we historically haven't had that. We have now because we've got players in our...
Well, we bought Solanke for 65. We bought Richarlison for 60 or 58 or whatever. We bought Brennan Johnson for 50. We bought...
Yeah, but
we spent a lot of money on we're still paying off Romero. We're still paying off Van de Ven.
I'm just going to say, just to finish off there, sorry, Sean, that this current crop, I don't think, again, where he's come out of the market, Fabio, is anywhere near as secure as the purchases that were made and the return on investment that Fabio has made. So Destiny Udogie, 15 million, Pape Matar Sarr, 12 million, Vicario, 17 million, Porro, 40 million, Vicario, 17, did I say him?
No.
Romero, as we said, 45 million. So there's definitely money. Yes, he has had some bad ones. Brian Gill, Richarlison, you're not going to get your money back on Richie. But I think on the whole, we do have assets now. Kulu, 35 million. Bentancur, 17 million.
He's about to sign a new contract, apparently.
Yeah, so I do think that we have arrested that terrible situation that we were in previously, where we now have assets that, should we sell them, that will bring in significant money into the club.
Yeah, it comes back to the age-old problem, though, right? Is that
even Bissouma,
if Daniel Levy has burnt so many bridges in the Premier League, how often do we trade players in the Premier League or to Premier League clubs or out of ours to somewhere else? Very rarely, right? Yeah. I think Leicester's our maybe one little team that we can pivot to occasionally, like we did with Skip and Winks and that. But most of the teams in the Premier League don't want to deal with Daniel Levy on the purchase side or from our sales side. And so you're left then with teams in Europe who are always broke or crying poor. And so you end up with these like, oh, we'll do loans with obligations or loans with options, or we'll kick the can. And then even when there's an obligation, they never actually end up paying it. I mean, Brian Hill had a wonderful season at not Genoa. What's the Girona?
Girona.
Yeah, he went to. Yeah. And then they went, oh, we're not fucking doing that. Even though he had a brilliant season, I'm not doing that, not paying the money, even though it was a pittance, and he got injured at the end. Right. And same with Lo Celso, same with. It's a constant thing. Alejo Veliz has been a shit show. So there's lots of. You see that Alejo Veliz is going back to where he came from. It's a Brian Hill over again, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got to say though, it's not a new thing. Europe is broke. Europe plays the fiddle. It plays the Premier League like a fiddle. It really does. I mean, they complain that there's no money, yet if you go to them, they want telephone numbers for every single player. Anyone from the Premier League, if someone from France inquired about a player in Spain, it would be price A. If someone from the Premier League comes in, you can expect that price to potentially double. And this is what goes on. But when someone goes, like Atletico Madrid, right? They want Romero. They were interested in Bentancur. They're not going to pay the money. They're not going to pay the money.
That's what I mean. So this idea of like appreciating assets that you're talking about, and it has been a much better last few years.
Yeah,
it's been a much better last few years under Paratici's watch than it was under Hitchens. But ultimately, that's all just assets on a bit of paper. Until you sell them to realise that value, which never seems to materialise, then I don't really understand. Like I said this at the start before you came on, Johnny. I don't understand how Chelsea have got this track record of overpaying for players, them doing fucking shit at Chelsea, and then these other clubs coming in and going, yeah, we'll give you back what you paid for it. If Chelsea really think they can get 70 million quid back for Nkunku,
well, they won't.
But like they got peak money with Mason Mount when he was a bang average player. They got peak money for Kai Havertz.
I know, but listen, hang on a second, right? Look, Chelsea have been smart. Look, their academy, look how much their academy alone has generated in money, right? They do produce better on average, way above us on an academy level on a regular basis, okay? And, Carl Havertz, Mason Mount, Gallagher, they've all generated big money, but you could say the same thing about Arsenal, Nketiah, 30 million. What's his mate? Emil Smith-Rowe, 35 million. Alex Iwobi, 35 million. That's what I'm saying. That's where Spurs really need to be. We need to be churning out players that they might contribute a certain amount to us in the first team, but should we sell them on, they're generating money. And Chelsea have always been very good at that. And I don't think there's any shape, way, or form that you will see anyone paying anywhere near 70 million for Nkunku. You'll be lucky if they play 30 million. I actually thought, as I said, he had it all. Whether or not he can recapture his form and get back, I don't know. But
thank you, Nathan. Appreciate it, mate.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, mate, it's a long summer to go. Obviously, we have to. I want to start hearing about players. If Bentancur is staying and signing a new contract, and Berghvall's staying, obviously signing a new contract, he's not going anywhere. just last couple of questions for you, because obviously we're heavily linked with Richarlison, who's a player we've been linked with for ages. 45 million quid. I think he's a really, really, really good player, but he's not really a 6. He's more of an 8. So that doesn't really solve what we're looking for. If we are going to get a 6, it's not going to be Johnny Cardoso. But where's the space in the squad? Do you see anything happening with Pape Sarr?
No, look, again, this all boils down to the manager, right? It's all boils down. If the manager stays the same, we ain't getting a 6. Okay, let's just know it. Okay, and we're going to go into Europe and we're going to play top teams and we're going to get battered. Right, that's my opinion. Okay, look what we did against Man United. 115 passes in 90 minutes. Okay, 115 passes in 90 minutes. Come on, guys. One shot on target in 90 minutes.
Yeah, everyone's flipped, mate. Everyone's flipped on the back of that.
I know, but listen,
it's wild, isn't it? It's wild.
I'm not gonna take anything away from the victory, right? It was one of the great nights of being a Spurs fan, one of the best European night in 41 years. I'm not taking anything away from that euphoria. But once the euphoria's gone and the dust has settled, what you're left with is reality. And the reality was...
And marrying a prostitute.
We are married. You bought into a cult, right? And I ain't into a cult, right? I'm not a sheep and I'm not going to be led like a lamb to the slaughter, okay? I've seen the light, okay? I saw the light a long while ago. I will congratulate him. I will thank him and I will bid him farewell and good luck in the future. And, I think, for all things, it would be great for him to leave on a high and be remembered for what he's done. And people will forget about the record, defeats and amount of goals that's conceded. What I can't forgive him for is the fact that he said he gave up on the league in January. Myself, like many thousand, 2,000-3,000 who go every week home and away, to find that out once the season's over, that you weren't bothered about the season. Well, could you maybe have told us so we didn't have to witness all those things?
Bollocks, mate. He didn't deprioritise the league. He deprioritised the philosophy.
It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Well, it was, mate. So you're saying Pape Sarr's going to stay, Bentancur's going to stay, Berghvall's going to stay, then there's not really that much room in the squad for new players. This is what I worry about, right? If you want to move to the next level, you have to look long and hard and go, is Pape Sarr a Champions League level player? And I don't think he is. I really like Pape Sarr. I think he's a good, mid-table Premier League level player. I don't think he's top draw. I don't think Bentancur's top draw. I definitely don't think Bissouma's top draw. And so, I'm just sitting there going, well, you've got, in order to make room for new, you have to be willing to let these go. And if they're all signing new contracts, then... Mate,
I listen. I'm not going to listen. All I can tell you is, before he got his injury, Bentancur was... I did two...
Not world class, mate. He's not world class.
Mate, right. Let me finish. Right. Bentancur, when I did the poll, was ahead of Harry Kane, ahead of everyone in that World Cup, right? Okay, before we went to the last World Cup. He was outstanding. He was outstanding at that World Cup, got an injury at the World Cup. He was rushed back too quickly, got that injury at Leicester. Serious injury. I'm telling you, right, okay, him and Romero dovetail perfectly together. If you can't see how good a player he is, yes, he's fallen right off because he's trying to get back to his former self. What he has lost is that yard, because of the type of injury, is that yard of pace that he had before and speed. But the aggression and the ability to read the game is there. I have no chance.
He's saying he's world class, though.
Well, world class is, what is define world class? How many of our
top 3, top 5 players in his position?
Yeah,
in the world?
Well, hang on a second. Yeah, but how many times are Spurs going to sign a top 3 player in the world?
I'm saying, but that's the point. I'm not saying he's a bad player, Johnny. I'm saying he's a very good player. But I'm just saying, is he? If Tottenham could go and get me Polinia and someone like a Richarlison, right? Then 100%. You'd need to make room for 2 men in the squad, 2 midfielders that are currently here have to go.
So you get rid. Yeah. So okay, you get rid. For a start, Pape Sarr is 22 years of age. Tell me when someone matures at 22 years of age.
Okay, fine. So
Right, okay.
so Bissouma's one of the people we can agree on that would need to go. So then who's the other?
Well, I think you're going to need a bigger squad, Sean, of more depth. So
you've only got 26 places, haven't you? 25 places. You can't just add more people.
You need more strength in depth, right? You need more strength in depth.
Yeah, but you still got to make room.
Yeah, well,
someone has to go.
Right, so you're getting rid of Sarr, you're getting rid of Bissouma, and you're getting rid of Bentancur.
No, I'm saying 2 of those 3 would have to go to bring in 2 top.
Getting rid of.
I personally would get rid of Sarr and Bissouma first.
Right. Okay. Listen, I can understand Bissouma, not a problem. He's a brain fart. I mean, he came on. The tackle at Brighton when he came on, just showed exactly what he is. I'd be happy for him to go get some money. But I think Spurs will get rid of a few anyway. So. Yeah. We'll have to see. But again,
my point isn't about should we sell Bentancur? My point is we're not selling Bentancur because he's getting a new contract. So that means we're either not going to be going and rebuilding our midfield, which to me is problematic. I think our midfield needs a lot of work, or we have to get rid of Bissouma and Sarr to bring in 2.
Is he a 6? Bentancur.
Bentancur in the 6 is not a good enough 6.
No, I asked, is Bentancur a 6?
No, he's absolutely not.
Right. Okay. So what I'm saying to you is, under a top coach who knows what he's doing, we go out and we buy a monster 6. But by keeping Bentancur, right, we're saving the money and having a player who's very, very good, who's good enough. Listen, you only got to watch him, Sean. Go and watch the Uruguay game against Brazil.
I'm not dummy. I know he's a good player.
Yeah,
he's a good player.
So I would not be getting rid of him.
Okay, but if we want to kick on to the next level. I'm not saying we get rid of him. I'm just okay. By the way, also the thing is, we have 17 foreign players are allowed in the Champions League.
World class. I don't even think he's top class.
Solanke's not world class either. No, of course not. But Solanke's homegrown, right? There's 17 players in the squad. 17 foreign players allowed in the squad. It's not a lot, is it?
No. What I'm saying to you is, Dom Solanke for me was a massive waste of a player. Terrible.
Mate, you've been backing Richarlison for the last 3 years. What are we doing here?
A homegrown, mate.
He's a good player. Solanke's a very good player, mate. He's a very, very good player.
I said he's not top class. He's not.
I say he's not world class. He's not world class.
Is he top class?
I think he's top class. Yeah. I think he's top class.
Hang on a minute. I'm clipping Sean.
Mate, if you can't see, to use your words,
you can't
see what Solanke's doing here.
Hang on. Solanke. Failed at Liverpool, had one good season, right? We had one good season at Bournemouth, right?
He had a good season this year.
Right. He worked hard, right? Yeah. No one can question his work ethic. But for 65 million, all I'm saying is I want someone who does more than work hard, right?
He does do more than work hard. He got 22 GA.
He got 9 goals.
Across all comps?
9 goals in the Premier League, mate.
Yeah?
9 goals. And how many?
Only 3 off your boy Richarlison's best ever season. He's been about 12 years.
Season, mate. He's been out for the whole season.
How are we sitting there criticising Solanke, but Richarlison avoids it?
I'm not avoiding the 2. I'm just talking about the one player at the moment. I'm talking about the one player, right? In the summer, through the penalties. Yeah.
I like Dom Solanke. But I'm with you on the fact that we need to improve. We need to get a better striker.
He's not technically gifted, mate. I'm sorry.
He's the best technical striker we have by a fucking country mile.
Well, that is. But you just said you need to get rid of him. I'm trying to do the context of what you said. You would get rid because we need world class, right?
I don't think you can get rid of. I wouldn't sell Solanke anyway
because he's not world class. Bissouma's not world class.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying. Where do you make the room in the squad if you want to bring in 2 midfielders? And when you've only got 17 non-homegrown spots, I don't know. Does Pape Sarr count as homegrown?
We signed him at 18. We signed
him. Then he does, right? He counts as homegrown, right?
But he carried out. He was playing at Metz, wasn't it? So I'm not sure how that works because he didn't. He came to us. He had 1 season out on loan. Went to the World Cup. No, he can't because he came to us at 19. I think he came to us. He played for Senegal in the last World Cup. He was out then in France. So that was 3 years ago. That was 3 years ago. He's 22 now. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't loan out Archie Gray either, because you need him as part of that of the young crop, right? The B team or whatever it's called. Like you need that that B squad or whatever it is for Europe. So
you know, with the manager that's willing to embrace our homegrown talent, of which we have plenty, then I think I think we will fill a certain void. But that's the whole point of producing homegrown quality talent that can get to the first team. That enables you, instead of spending 120 million on 4 players, if you're filling that, the voids up, we can buy 2 players for 60 million if you're producing them. Listen, I'm not saying Dom Solanke, let's be clear here, is a shit player. What I'm saying to you is he works hard, but for me, he's not a prolific goal scorer. He never will be, in my opinion. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
And I'm making a similar argument at Bentancur. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I think he's a very good player. I'm just wondering how it is that we improve this midfield.
How many world-class players do we have? I'll tell you what, you don't even think that Cuti Romero is world-class. I do.
I think Cuti Romero is a world-class passer. I think he's the best passer in the centre-back role in the Premier League.
When it matters, you ain't getting past him. When it matters.
That's the same argument for Ange Postecoglou, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we're playing Bulldog.
Yeah, exactly. Right, Johnny, we're going to leave it there, mate. I've got to take the dog out for a walk. Guys, I want to ask you one last time. Please smash the like and subscribe, but also just click that link in the chat right there. If you are on your computer, click that link and smash the granny out of the subscribe button on Football Link. Johnny and I will be back this afternoon. Hopefully, Johnny, if you're around to do a transfer merry-go-round update over there.
You do a quick one. I'm out this evening, so I have to do a quick one while the sun's out. Gone.
All right, no worries, buddy. I've got to take the dog out now. But yeah, guys, smash the like, smash the subscribe. Get over to Talking Tottenham 1882 and Johnny H3232 on Twitter. Get over to Spurs Talk Show on Twitter as well.
Thank you.
And we will.
I'm going to need to buy a Dom Solanke t-shirt now, aren't I? After all
I'm going to go and buy a Bentancur face mask, I think, just to see what's going on. All right, guys. We'll see you later on for the nice one, for another one, and you might even get a little video from me again later on tonight, depending on if something emerges with regards to Tottenham.
Lucky bastards. All right,
like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, guys, bye.